online, on demand and here. Play Solihull Radio. Right, you join us here just before we start the walk round. Lee is going to have a chat.
My name's Lee Roberts. I am here basically for your security tonight. I am a paranormal investigator. I've been doing it for 26 years. I've done events, private investigations. I look after here, Newstead Abbey, Woollerton Hall, Sherwood Forest, Nottingham Castle as my full-time role. That's my full-time job to look after those locations. And then recently I've been filming with quite a few celebrities, Katie Price, Gemma Collins, Rylan, quite a lot of the celebrities that have been here as well as doing other shows. So I've kind of done kind of the full spectrum of ghost hunting from TV to private and events. But my role tonight is just your security. I'm just going to be sat up here watching the CCTV, making sure everything's safe for you. So anything that's valuable or equipment that you're not using, you can leave in here. That's fine. Everything will be secure. There's only one way in and one way out, which is that door that you're going to be going through up and down the stairs. That will be locked when you're out on location. So everything will be secure for you. Okay? Any problems throughout the night, or any information you want, or any advice, if you can't get hold of the Birmingham Ghost Hunters guys, by all means come and see me. I know this place better than anybody, so if it's names or activity, you want to know if it's been happened before, or whether it's relevant to anything that we've had before, or any stories or history, come and have a chat with me. I'll be there all night long. Okay? Right, let's go then, Area 1.
Right, let's head this way. Right, we're heading into a darker area now. Can't quite see what's going on, but I'll, wow. Let me describe this place. Laser tag in a very old building. Here we go. Here's Lee again.
Right, so this is Area 1. Area 1 is a huge area. It's as far as you can see when you look down. You'll see how it opens up in a minute. This was the main nightclub part of the building. This balcony was put here purposely to fit more people into the nightclub. So before 1973, this balcony wouldn't have been here. It would have just been an open plan area for the malt house. As a nightclub, this building held 3,500 people per night. That's how big the place is. So as we're walking around, what I normally do is split it into 3 areas. So you've got Area 1, which we're going to have a walk around. Area 2 is a little bit more narrower, lower roofs, and kind of going through different corridors and rooms. And then Area 3 is party rooms, which is up on this level. Okay? Right, we'll go a little bit further and I'll tell you a few stories as we're going along.
Right, we're just all following Lee now, down through the maze of this laser tag place. Thank you very much. Now we're all in single file into a tiny little area. I'll try and keep you as informed as I possibly can as I'm wandering around in this group. Down 2 flights of stairs into quite a massive space. And we're standing next to some massive tyres all stacked up. Here we go. Back over to Lee.
Okay, right. So this is the main part of Area 1. This would have been the nightclub. It would have been the main part of the malt house, the working area as well. One thing to point out about the village, and it's quite good to point it out here, as you look around, there are no windows to the outside world at all in the village. So we could be stood here, it could be middle of the day on an August sunny day, and it is exactly the same as what it is now. You can come ghost hunting in the day here, and it makes no difference at all. It's the same atmosphere, the same lighting, usually the same temperature throughout the whole year. Now, the other thing is, we're below street level now. So if you look up on that wall, where that pipe runs across, that is around street level. So anything below that, if you get any knocks, taps, bangs, or anything that's below there, you need to be investigating, because that is just earth, dust, soil on the other side of that wall. Above there, you just get a little bit noisy when you get buses and cars going by throughout the night, but you won't get any light pollution. Time and time again, I've had people come from this area and walk by me on their break, and I'll say, "Oh, did you get anything?" They'll go, "Oh, we've got a few headlights of cars going by, and we've also had a few shadows of people walking by." No, you haven't. No light pollution in here from outside, because there's no windows at all. Okay. Lighting wise, so when you come out on the ghost hunt, as soon as you leave that briefing area, I will turn those lights off that's up there. So the lights that are in the briefing area will go off. The lights on the stairs will stay on for health and safety reasons, and you will get the green glow of the security lights throughout the building. But this area that we're stood in isn't the darkest of areas, for those of you that do like really dark areas. But as you go kind of underneath the balcony, as you walk round, those of you that do like really dark areas, there are some really, really dark areas for you, so you don't miss out on that. So the first thing I'm going to ask you to do is, as you look around, you'll see that Area 1 is a huge, huge place. So you've got the balcony we've walked across, you've got underneath the balcony that we're going in a minute, you've got the what would have been the dance floor, but then behind me are two rooms, one on top of the other. One's made up of a cell for the kids when they're playing the Modern Warfare game here, the laser tag. The other's just an empty room. But what's good about them is the one at the top has got two square windows that you can go up there, you can look out onto Area 1, but also when you're down here, you can look up there to see if there's any movement. There is lots of people that have taken pictures, captured faces looking out in the window, looking back at us. Recently, we've had that I can only describe as if anyone's got a big dog like a Labrador running on laminate flooring like Scooby-Doo, and you can just hear the claws going on the laminate flooring. We've had that up there really loud. Now, I've run up there straight away, and there is nothing up there. We don't know what it is, where it's come from. I still can't get to the bottom of it. The only thing that I can describe it, and it might be, but it's happened once when I've been upstairs looking at CCTV, is I thought it might have been someone outside throwing a load of pebbles onto the roof, and it causing the same effect. But I've been up there when that's happened, and I've been looking at CCTV, and there's been nobody outside, so that kind of cancelled that out. So what I want you to do is just go round here to the left-hand side into the cell area, have a quick look, come back out down these steps, and meet me back here again, and then I'll show you underneath the balcony.
Right, everybody is filing off to Lee's instructions. Let me just have a quick look round. People are shining their own green and red torches, which of course I forgot to bring. It's alright, I'll follow someone relatively close. Here we go. Oh, somebody's got a purple torch. I take it all back. Yep, there's a step. Thank you very much for shining your torch on that for me. Another one. Okay, so we've got a cell area, and it really does look like a cell, funnily enough. It's everyone is realising it is actually a cell, with bars, floor to ceiling, and I can't, and a ledge there for people to sleep on. But as we go through, you can hear it's complete concrete floor, and we're all filing back round now to meet up with Lee again on the dance floor area of the nightclub. Well, the old nightclub. I definitely will get lots of photographs for you, and I'll put these up on our website and on our Facebook and social medias for you, so that you can see exactly what I'm looking at, because it is actually quite ominous in some ways. And Lee didn't tell you this towards the end there, where he was explaining the cell area. There is actually some ironwork, steelworks, looks like holding the old beams up. A little bit of safety there, but it does look absolutely brilliant. Here we go. Lee's having a chat. Back to Lee.
You've got a K2 in your hand, for instance. Hold it out on the opposite side to your phone. You know that 20 centimetres is not going to be affected by your phone. So just keep that in mind. Well, aeroplane mode's the best thing. But, right, just wait for the next couple to come out.
We're still just waiting for the last couple of people just to come out from the cell area. And here they come. So Lee will now probably take us on. And in fact, you can hear the road noise. But like Lee said, we're below road level.
Right, so there's loads and loads of stories that I can tell you, so I kind of try and pick the best ones as we're going round. The best one about the cell area that you've just been in was about 2 years ago now. We was filming for a Facebook Live for the hauntings that we do, and there was a few of us that was in the cell, and we was filming. There was 4 of us in front of the camera and 1 stood behind the camera, and we decided we was going to split off into 2 teams, and 3 of us walked up the steps, so the same distance of what you've come. We was going to come round here. The idea was to come through and round to go below, underneath the balcony. Now, as the first one leaves that area, as you watch it back, and it's still on Facebook, it was quite a famous, it went in all the papers, we counted 6 seconds from the first one leaving, and then we hear a piano play. Now, there is a piano just inside here. We have caught it going off on its own. We've actually caught the key going down on its own on the camera. So 6 seconds, one person comes through, piano goes off, scared, oh my God, lots of bleeps. We'll come out to see what's going off. This tyre, which is fairly heavy, goes from here, with nobody stood around it, flies from this position over to where that green glow is on the top step. Straight across.
That's quite a long way, if I, maybe 10 or 12 feet.
Where I'm stood. The camera comes round, and we're all trying to figure out what's going on. The camera literally comes around to me, and I've got tears in my eyes. I'm that excited of what I've just witnessed. Because you come on ghost hunts, and I say it to every event, I'd rather you guys go home tonight disappointed that nothing happens than anybody fake anything. It's pointless. So I'd rather you go home going, oh yeah, bit of a quiet night. So to witness something like that, knowing for myself there's only my team in there, and I can vouch for where everybody was, and that happened, was like, wow, that's amazing. So that's the kind of things that you want to happen. That's fantastic. So bear in mind that as you're going round, but also the piano. Keep a listen out for the piano. So I'm going to show you where the piano is now. Just watch your step as you come towards me. There is a large step. And we're going to go underneath the balcony.
Okay, back into our single file mode. And it looks like I'm at the back. What does that say? Picked off first, I think. So, I can now see what he says about the green glow. It is a good 10 to 12 feet away, 3 or 4 metres. And I couldn't throw the tyre that far. Not the size of that tyre anyway. Thank you for shining your torch. So we're through into another section here, which is incredibly dark. Well, there's the piano that everyone's talking of. It's a 1930s upright with lots of broken keys. In fact, it's a Rogers, I think. Is that a Rogers? Could you just shine your torch there for me? Oh no, it's a Byers. Byers of London.
Okay.
I think.
Sorry. This area.
Back to Lee.
This is what I would call our first hotspot of the night. This is where a lot of groups will come and start their night off. First of all, we've got the piano. The piano does play on its own. We've caught it going off on its own. Now, from the science behind it, I'm very much scientific minded. I always have to look at the science behind everything. So for me, straight away, I was thinking, it's an old piano. Is it fatigue that the keys are going down on its own? Is it rodents running across the keys or inside the piano? So we had it checked out. Now, I'm no piano expert, so I don't know anything about pianos, but what they told me was it would be impossible for fatigue or temperature or even rodents to affect that piano, because when you go inside, you have to lift the drum up to make the key play, rather than the drum inside drop. So for anything to happen on them keys to play on its own, someone has to reach inside and lift the drum upwards. So unless we've got any rats or mice that are weightlifting in there, we've got no explanation of why that key is going down on its own. Another story about this area then, and this gentleman said it straight away as soon as we walked in, this would be brilliant for a Ouija board in this area. Pool table. lots and lots of people have used Ouija boards on there. Now you can imagine, since November 2015 we started hiring this place out. Every single weekend, we're booked up throughout the whole of this year as well. We're now taking bookings 2020. So that's hundreds and hundreds of teams that have come through doing Ouija boards. Now, probably about a year ago, I was upstairs doing my usual duties, sat watching the boxing. Supposed to be watching the CCTV, there was boxing on at the time. It was 11:05. I'd just done my walk round. They'd done Vigil 1, they was going off for Vigil 2, so this was it was exactly 11:05. I heard what I can only describe as somebody going, "Mummy." Now I thought it was a child, straight away I thought that sounded like a child, so I checked the CCTV, looked in the party rooms, looked outside on the CCTV, make sure there was no one messing about outside, there was nobody. Sat back down at the station again, second time, "Mummy." So I walked over to the windows, looked over Area 1, where you guys was looking earlier, looked out over Area 1, nobody there. But then even closer to me and louder, I heard, "Mummy." So I walked back to the station, trying to figure out all the time what was going off, what am I hearing. And as I got back to the station again, fourth time, "Mummy," really loud. So the only thing I could do is come down. A, to find out what they was doing, and B, didn't really want to be up there on my own at that point. So I came through the door, walked down the first set of steps, onto where the dance floor is, and at that point, the team leader that was in here met me out on the dance floor. And he said, "Is everything all right?" And I said, "I'm not going to tell you what I've just heard. I want to find out what each group's doing first. And then I can kind of just try and find out what's happening." So he brought me in here, the same way that you guys have just come in. And there was about 6 people stood around the pool table, all doing a Ouija board. And I said to them, are you getting anything? And they said, "We've been doing it about 20 minutes now. First 5 minutes we got nothing. Then it started moving, going all over the place. And then for the last 5 minutes, we've been in touch with a little boy. He said he was raped and murdered in this area, and he's looking for his mummy." Now that's before I told them what I'd heard. And that's, like, they didn't know what I heard, and I didn't know what they was doing.
Just standing at the back.
That continuity was really good. But what made it
A couple of us have just heard something just off to the left.
That caused me to go away and do a little bit of checking, a little bit
behind
of
a
work. And we
brick
found
pillar.
that we already knew the River Mourne runs directly under this building. There will be a location in a moment where you can hear the river running. Now, we found that back in the 1600s, there was a farmer not too far from here that was tried and hung in the 1600s for rape and murder of 2 children. Oh, God. So that was factually correct, and that was so hard to get hold of, that information. Those guests, it could be a coincidence that they've been out and done some research. It could be that they picked up on that from coincidence. What I heard might have been.
Sorry to interrupt, Lee, but we're standing. What's your name?
Really
what's your name? Rachel. Sorry.
All right.
Yeah. What are we
Move on
hearing?
then.
Yeah, definitely. What are you hearing, Rachel?
I don't know. It just feels really weird, and I just heard something
Moving behind the brick pillar.
Yeah.
Just to give you some. Description-wise, we've got about 1.5 foot of room between a wall and a brick pillar that is coming out round into the middle of the room. And Rachel and I were standing at the back there while Lee was chatting and telling us that story. And both Rachel and I looked at the same time. That was a bit weird. And I've got a very, there's quite a microphone on this recorder, so let's see what Lee says now.
So this would have been the main entrance to the nightclub through this door here. Behind you guys would have been the main toilet block. So you can imagine 3,500 people, toilet block. That was a messy, horrible, horrible place. You can go and investigate in there. Recently we've had what can only be described as like pebbles or something hitting the canopy when everybody's in there and coming from this side, we don't know where it's coming from. We've also had people seeing faces from in that area as they move round into that area. So it's a really good area, but virtually untouched. Not many people go in there and investigate. When I kind of say at the end of the night, where did you go? Not many people say we spent a lot of time in there. So, and I think that's a really good area. People that have been in there have got some really good stuff. So, yeah, check that bit out. There's a step where I am now. So as you come forward, just mind the step.
Wow, this place is absolutely massive, and he was not wrong about that step. That step is a lot bigger than you imagine.
Okay, right. So that's
very careful.
Area 1.
That's a very big step. And now we've been joined by our Birmingham Ghost Hunters UK hosts this evening as they wander around as well, just doing their reconnaissance as they move into Area 1.
Okay, right, so that's Area 1, really big area. Area 2 is just as big, but it's a lot lower ceiling, and lots of winding corridors, different rooms to go in. So try and stick together, don't go wandering off. You will have time to look in each room as we go round, but if you do go wandering off in this area, you will get lost. So try and stick together as we're going round, okay?
Hold my hand.
I think that sounds a bit ominous, doesn't it? That we're going to get lost in a labyrinth of corridors as we move into Area 2. Okay, up a few steps just as we move into this corridor, and it's suddenly getting a lot narrower. Here we go. Black walls. Oh, there's a telescope in a room with no windows. Here we go. He's right, you know. We would get lost in here. It is a labyrinth. There's nets hanging and ropes hanging from the ceiling here, and the ceiling height is about just over 6 foot or so. And we're now in a sort of antechamber as we move around and listen to Lee again. And there's lots of candelabras in the middle of the room here, and the rope continues right round the perimeter.
Okay, right, so when we first started investigating the village back in 2014, the staff, as they walked me round to tell me where they experienced things, where they felt uneasy, this was one room that they pointed out, and they said they don't like it in here. Even now today, you don't have staff come in here alone. They would just refuse to come in here, which intrigued me as a paranormal investigator of why is there a certain area that people don't like? Because to me, it's just another room. You do get strange smells in here from wet dog, death. Now, if anyone's smelt death before, you never get, you know that smell. You get death, and so the smell changes as you're going round. But we've got a historian in to try and find out why this area may be so much of interest and why people don't like it. This is the closest we get to the River Mourne. It runs directly underneath us here. And at night, I don't know if we can hear it now. Yeah. Mm-hmm. You hear the river dripping and running across. So over in this corner, just where you guys are now, there is a well. It's under about 4 feet of concrete, but we know it's there. On this side of the river, so the river's not too wide, on this side of the river, over here, we know was the entrance to a secret tunnel. The tunnel led to St Peter's Church, which is about 500 yards away on the corner. As you all came around the one-way system, it's there. Now, before this building was here, so this building was built in 1793, way before this building was here, back in the 1500s, stood a barn. Now, we haven't got the specific plans for it, but we know that a barn stood here at that time. At the time, Henry VIII was going and arresting any monks, priests, vicars, taking possession of all the churches, the abbeys, etc., etc. We know that 7 monks used to use the tunnel, come up here into the barn and hide in the barn till the soldiers had disappeared, and then they would go back and take possession back of the church again once it's all clear. The soldiers got tipped off that this was happening, so they turned up, hit a match at the barn, up it went. 7 monks died in the barn. We don't know how big the barn was, but there was in the barn at the time. We know that they died in there. So that was in the 1500s. So that's probably where we got the sense of, we don't really like it in here, without kind of subconsciously not knowing. But what was really interesting about 6 months ago, we had a group similar size to you guys. Around midnight, they was told, right, off you go, do a bit of free time. Go and take some photos, do your own experiments. So off they went, all the way around the building. And there was a couple that wandered into this room here, behind where we've just walked through. And the golden rule of ghost hunting, if you're going to take a photo, take 3. So you know where things have come from. If you've captured something on one of the photos, if you've got a continuity of 3, you know where it's come from or where it's going. They took one photo in here, facing this way, and you can see this white post. You can see the electrical sockets, you can see this, well, there was a table here at the time, this wasn't here, it was a table that was there. Everything was fine, not a problem. Second photograph, the table disappeared. The white post had disappeared. The electric sockets had disappeared. But what happened was, around this height, was this white, gaunt, don't like using the word, but demonic face was around here. So about 6 foot something tall.
Bless you.
Straight away, I am thinking, right, so when they showed me the photograph, right, okay, was there someone in here that might have wandered in? They've got a bit of a reflection from the flash. So we checked on CCTV. There's a camera over in that far corner that they used for the escape the room games. And we checked CCTV. We saw the flash of the camera. We saw it again and then again. There was nobody in this room at all. It was about 10 past 12, 10 past midnight. We know there was nobody in here. We still don't know where this face has come from. And just for continuity, the third photo, everything was back to normal. So 3 photos. One that was normal, one everything disappeared except for this demonic face. Third photo, everything was back to normal again. We still don't know where this face had come from. We've had lots and lots of groups come in since then that try to reenact it, try and pick up on this face. We've had lots of people that have said they've picked up on a figure in here and described them to me, but nobody's actually caught anything on camera again. So if you are in here, tell lots of photos. See if we can capture something on camera, because you just never know. It might be your group tonight that gets lucky and gets something. Okay? Right, a little bit further then. We're going back out this way again. Just watch your head as you're coming through.
He's not wrong. The ceilings and there's an RSJ running across here that is, well, if you know my sort of height, I'm actually in danger. So it just goes to show how low it is. If Nick was in here, he'd be in a lot of trouble. Okay, we're all wandering back. A couple of people have got their torches so we can see what's going on. I must say, the group's a lot larger than I imagined. But we should wander through into a very narrow space, up a slight incline. This goes to show all of these floor levels are completely different. Tiny little sofa, one of those old sofa beds in this area. Here we go.
Okay, right.
And we'll listen to Lee again.
Two are wandering off into here. That's the escape the room game. Before that was an escape the room game, it was just an open plan party room. They've now made it into kind of 3 different sections. Right at the end of the room, you can literally go in there and close the door to do. You can fit 4 people in there. Close the door. It is the darkest of dark. It is pitch black. It is like, those of you that like dark, it is dark. People do get affected in there. The males normally get affected around the throat. The females normally get affected on the legs. They get jelly legs. The amount of time I had to come down here and literally pick somebody off the floor and escort them back up to the briefing room, it's like every other week.
Never.
So just bear that in mind when you go in there. I always advise people, and I know ghost hunters are kind of like, yeah, whatever, I'm going to go in there on my own. Try not to go in there on your own. We have had a group that have come here before, quite a well-known company that's come. They've let people go off on their own, doing some free time, and a female went into that room and her legs just went to jelly. I found her at 2:05 after she'd been on a walk round at 12 o'clock on her own. The group had actually left the building. I was checking the building for the fire doors on my own and just heard this murmuring. She was down on the floor and couldn't move. Her legs had just gone to jelly. She'd been there for 2 hours. So if you do go in there, try to go in with someone. If you're going in there on your own, let somebody know you're going in there on your own. Because I'm not kidding, it does affect you on there. Okay? So just bear that in mind. Right, so we're going to go this way.
See? Okay. Maybe on the Facebook then, should we say that I should go in there on my own? I'd like to sort of debunk it really and just say that like a dark square space would disorient you, but it looks like... Sorry Rachel, it seems like Rachel and I are wandering around together. Right, now we're into another chamber, exactly the same sort of thing, and again the floor levels change. And here's Lee.
Okay, right, so 5th of August last year we had a group come in, same as you guys, wanted to do a ghost hunt. So I do my same routine every time we're going to ghost hunt. So 6:45 I turn up, unlock the building, turn the alarms off, which is important, especially for the story I'm going to tell you. Turn the alarms off. Go upstairs, check CCTV, and then wait for the team to turn up. You okay?
I'll be shining the lights.
Oh, that's all right. Yeah. So as I turn the CCTV on, I could hear from upstairs, so where I'm sat is probably not too far from here, about 20 yards that way above us. I could hear over and over again. On the CCTV, we had a CCTV camera in there. You could just vaguely see this door moving on its own, going boom, boom. So, me being me, thought, I'm going to go Facebook Live. Just because if I come down here and see that door slamming on its own and then go upstairs and tell everybody, no one's going to believe me. Because they'll just go, oh yeah, whatever, you're just trying to sell the building. But also for a bit of security, because I just undone the building. Now I knew there was nobody living in this building because I just turned the alarms off. If there was someone down here that was living, the alarms would have been going off. So I thought, it's a bit of security. I've got the people at home that are watching. So I come down the stairs. You can see me coming down the stairs, walking down the corridor that we've just coming around here. As I come around that corner, you can hear this door, bang, bang, bang. And as I walk around, you can see the door coming to about there and slamming over and over. So I walk towards it, and you can see me on the camera reaching out, and I'm calling out all the time. If there's anybody there, stop the door from moving. I'm going to grab the door. And as I grabbed the door, there was like a bit of tension, and then it just let go. And that was it. Nothing there. So I walked in, had a look round. I was still saying to people at home, everyone was coming online, and, you know, hello Lee, what's going on, blah, blah, blah. Had about 60, 70 viewers at the time. And they're all, oh, you know, what's going on? I can't believe I've ever seen that. So I'm going around going, look, there's nothing here. There's nobody here. Can somebody do something again? And I push the door from inside here, and something bangs further down the room. And when you go in there in a minute, you'll see how long this room is. Something banged down the room. So I turned with my torch, and I'm walking down with the camera, and I can hear
someone shouting.
It's probably upstairs in the brief room. Probably the team that's up there. So as I'm pointing down there, I'm saying, oh, you know, there's nobody here, look. I'm telling people, trying to commentate to people at home. And then I turn around, check the door again, go back upstairs, let the team in, all excited. Oh, yeah, something's just happened downstairs, blah, 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 blah. It wasn't until later on we came on a break, and one of the guests, one of the viewers that had been watching, had messaged me on my page and said, Lee, can you go back on your video and just have a look at 2 minutes, 30 seconds and tell me what you see? So I got it up on the screen, on the laptop, and it's just as I'm walking, I've heard the bang down there, and it's just as I'm walking down, and I've got a torch on, and you could see like the curve of the torch as I'm going down. Just on the right-hand curve of the torch, as I'm walking down, you can see about that high, this crunched up figure, like a shadow figure, just stand up from behind one of the barriers and move out of shot out of my torch line. Now that I didn't see with my naked eye. otherwise you would have seen me running. So I'm walking on, and I actually walk down, don't even react to it, going, oh, there's nobody here, look, there's nobody, all nice and calm, and walk around where this figure's just been seen, come back upstairs again. So that got me even more pumped. This was about 11:30 by then, and I'm thinking, so there was something down there. So what is it? But then the group that was here, without knowing that, because they was down investigating, about the same time, came upstairs on a break and went, oh, Lily, look what we've just caught. Show me a picture, and it was of a crunched up shadow figure in the same area, which for continuity-wise was fantastic. That is still on Facebook. That video is still on Facebook on there. So when you're on a break later on, come and grab me, and I'll get the video up for you, show you the video, and we can all have a laugh at how scared I was. Right, so we're going to go in area 2 and show you this area. Just watch the steps.
Wow. Lee's got some great stories to tell us about this space. There's lots of steps, and we're now going through what can only be described as a bamboo-style door. What was that? Oh. I thought I was going to have to... somebody's started already. Right, so as we come down into 3 steps down into another space, and Lee's absolutely right, it's 40 or 50 feet space, square, completely solid rock stone walls, subdivided into areas with bamboo.
So this is
here's Lee
the main
again.
part of area 2. People spend money to come and hire this building out just for this room alone. They will literally spend all night in here. If it's a private team, they will come and spend all night in this room. 26 years of ghost hunting. I'm not saying this is the most active, but for continuity-wise, this is the most active in a short space of time that I've ever experienced. So I can tell you hundreds of stories about what's been caught in here. Shadow figures, people moving. We've had, just on the step that's just on there, we've had a figure caught holding 2 children, shadow figures, holding their hands. Loads and loads of things. We had a mist that appeared 5th of April until the 5th of August 2015. It was as if the building was on fire. I ran down here with Kelly, who owns the building, thinking the building was on fire. And when we came down here, it was exactly the same it is now. But what's most interesting about this room, which is like the holy grail of ghost hunting, you go on a ghost hunt, you get a little bit of a movement on a Ouija board, you hear a whistle, you hear a knock, tap, bang, you've had a good night. But to get a full-blown apparition like me looking at you now is like the holy grail. In here, we've had 12 full apparitions reported. 12 of the same figure, 12 different people, 12 different events since November 2015, all reporting exactly the same figure. Now, I'm not going to tell you who it is. I'm not going to tell you the description, male, female, won't give you any details. But what I will say is, just bear in mind when you are down here of things that are moving around and who's in your group. So the only story that I can tell you is, the last story I'm going to tell you before we move back up to the briefing room, is I was number 3 in the 12 that saw the full apparition. There was a group, about 30 of them, all stood in a circle here, going round one after the other, introducing themselves. Hi, my name's Lee, can you do something for me? Went round every single one of them. I stood back here, because I wasn't part of the group, let them get on with it. Now, I noticed that bamboo door that we've just walked through, that wasn't there at the time. It was back kind of 2015, back end of 2015. That wasn't there, it was just an open plan doorway. There was somebody stood there on the top step. And I'm stood here, all torches off, everyone's going round, and as it got to the finish, I said, if you want to come in and stand around the circle, you'll get a load better reaction rather than stood in the doorway. And they just started moving back. So I turned to the team leader and said, are they part of your team or are they guests? And he said, I thought they was with you, I thought it was part of the village team. So we walked around the group, got to where the doorway was, and at that point I noticed that the figure we was looking at, under the green glow of the security light by then, it was right at the back, What I was looking at had been reported to me twice before. Now, I'm not going to tell you the description, because it would ruin it for you.
Yeah.
So, at that point, I knew what I was looking at wasn't of a living presence, but it looked living. I looked at the team leader, and he looked at me, and I knew that he could see it. And then it sounds daft, but the figure disappeared from the feet upwards. Just disappeared. Now, I always think to myself now, did it move off to the left-hand side? Did it go off and run out of the building? But we checked CCTV and nobody left before we got back upstairs. So, bearing in mind there was 30 guests in here. Some was fairly new to ghost hunting, some was quite seasoned ghost hunters. They was all looking what was happening. Everybody saw this figure just go and disappear. You can imagine the carnage in here. People just starburst. People was running into pillars, into posts, hiding. Eventually we had to go out through the fire door at the end, out into the car park, stand in the car park for half an hour because nobody dared come back into the building. Once people decided to come back in, it took them another hour of coffee drinking to break up the courage to come. So, like I said, when you're down here, just bear in mind who's around, okay? Go and get your bearings, go and have a couple of minutes of just having a look around this area and seeing what you can see. And then we'll make our way back upstairs again.
Okay, so like I say, it's left to right, it's probably about 30-35 feet, and I'm going to start the walk down this massive space. It's separated into lots of different areas. That's a bit weird. I've just hit my head on some bamboo, looking out into another chamber. Didn't react though, did I, when the bamboo hit me? Right. The group are beginning to find where we are, and I can now see down into where the fire door was that Lee was telling us a little bit about. And the bamboo separators are floor to ceiling, and it really does look... Yeah, if I try and describe it to you, imagine Caribbean pirate style bamboo, almost Robinson Crusoe-esque. I'm looking up, and it does look a little bit like Robinson Crusoe's sort of style, netting, bamboo walls. I hope I'm describing this well enough for you. I'm doing my best. Little palm trees. And if you take that to the outside edge of stone walls built in the 1790s, that's what we're looking at for this space. And I suspect when the lights go off completely later, it might get a little bit more... well, there might be a different feel, let's put it that way. And not that I'm getting... sort of drawn into Lee's stories or anything, but there is a different feel in this space. Let me just pop down here. Oh look, there's a skull on top of a palm tree there. Right, I think we're all regathering and following the next lot. I don't know who's over here anymore. Lee's still over here. I'm going to stay with Lee. That's my plan. He knows the way out.
Okay, guys, we're going to make our way back to the centre, then we're going to make us way back up to the briefing room.
Okay. The group is just sort of coming back, finding Lee again. Let me just... There you go. They're the nets on the walls on the back wall.
Try and stick together. I know you're really keen to get ghost hunting. Stick together, otherwise you're just going to get yourself lost as we're going round. So we're going to make our way back up to the briefing room. You'll probably have a bit of a drink and a toilet break, and then you'll be getting on with it.
Okay.
Okay, want to follow me then? Just watch your steps as you go in through.
So now we'll head back, following Lee, up into where we started. If you saw our Facebook Live video, that's where we all sort of gathered at the beginning of the evening and put all the equipment out and things like that. We've got lots of different types of equipment upstairs from Birmingham Ghost Hunters UK that we'll be using as we go through our vigils this evening. I'll just hold this door for these guys before they get lost. Although they've got the torches, so it's probably good if I do wait for them. Everywhere we go, let me just have a sneaky look into this room that everyone was saying is the room that is quite disorientating. Wow. It is quite disorientating. Right. Rank rubbish. Thanks, fellas. Yep. Now I've lost the rest of the crew, so here's the little slope down that I remember telling you about a little while ago. Back into the sort of labyrinth corridor past the telescope with no windows. And now we're getting back into the main area where we began, having a chat with the tyres, up onto the mezzanine floor, back into the briefing room as Lee calls it, where the sort of cafe and children's area is. I don't know if you can hear me wandering up these stairs. They're quite substantial stairs, so they're not going to be creaky or anything like that. And you can see the old nightclub style carpet on these stairs as well. I'm sure you all know the sort of patterns you used to get on 70s and 80s nightclubs. Television in the corner. Old television, a CRT television. And here we come back into the briefing area. So that was Lee's description. I'll have a bit of a regroup and then we'll have a chat in a little while. See you soon.